When you file a supplemental claim, you have to include new and relevant evidence. Now, I want to talk about the different ways that it's possible to do that. And it's probably no surprise that there are some obvious answers and some not so obvious answers. The bar for new and relevant evidence is set pretty low, and it's supposed to be. New evidence is basically anything that was not part of your C-file when the last decision was made. And relevant evidence is evidence that has something to do with your specific claim disability. Now, those are my definitions. The two terms, new and relevant, don't have precise definitions in the world of VA law, but I'll say that I really haven't seen veterans getting burned by that. The VA is pretty good about accepting evidence as new and relevant and moving on to a decision. But having said that, let me give you some examples of things that won't work. If you submit a copy of a medical record, say a doctor's opinion, or anything else really, and there is already a copy of that exact thing in your C-file, the VA is going to shut it down because you haven't given them evidence that is new. At the same time, if you submit a medical record about a totally unrelated medical condition, that evidence may be new, but it's not relevant. So again, the VA is going to shut it down. My point with these examples is that new and relevant evidence is a forgiving standard, but it is still a standard, and you have to put up some effort to get there. So, what are examples of things that count as new and relevant? One that I use a lot with pretty much every supplemental claim is a new lay statement from the veteran. Now, all you really have to do is describe your current symptoms for the disability, as of today, current as in now, and also describe how the disability affects your life, again, right now, the current effects on your life. And while you're doing that, make sure you talk about something that you haven't mentioned to the VA before. And that's pretty simple. And that's, for a lot of folks, that's the easiest way to provide new and relevant evidence. Another very common example is a new opinion from a doctor. Now, this one works even if the only thing that's new is the opinion itself. And by that I mean the doctor can look at all of the old medical records that were already in your C-file and absolutely nothing else, and then offer an opinion on those records. And that alone counts as new and relevant. Also, new does not necessarily mean the evidence was created recently. For example, if you find a medical record that's 40 years old and just for whatever reason has never been a part of your C-file, that's new evidence, and you can add it with your supplemental claim. So a common question along the lines of new and relevant evidence is whether you have to submit the evidence at the same time as your claim. And the answer to that is no. As long as you submit the evidence before the VA makes a decision on the supplemental claim, then you're going to be okay. But you do want to be on the ball with that. Because if there's no new evidence with the claim, and you don't point the VA to go get new evidence, they're likely to send you back a letter that says there's no new evidence, so we're not going to decide it at all. So don't drag your feet. And when it comes to lay statements, that's something that you should be able to knock out definitely within a week and get it submitted. And that'll at least buy you time to go get the other evidence if you need to. But I'm kind of off track here. You can point the VA to new evidence that's in your C-file since the last decision. And you don't have to provide that again. In fact, you shouldn't provide it again. Just mention that it's in your C-file and also include the date that it was added. So it's clear to the VA that the date it was added was after that last decision. You can also use the VA's duty to assist to ask the VA to get records from hospitals or even your VA provider. In my last supplemental claim video, I mentioned challenging the credibility and qualifications of any VA examiner who's performed a CMP exam. And once you do that, the VA has to get those qualifications under its duty to assist. And once those qualifications are added to the record, that's new and relevant evidence and can support a supplemental claim. I think I need to come back and address one thing real quick. When I talk about the last decision, throughout this video, I mean the last decision where new evidence was considered. For example, let's say you file a supplemental claim or a new claim, doesn't matter which, and it gets denied. Then you appeal that denial through a higher level review, which also gets denied. And you can go one further. Let's say you appeal to the board and use the direct review lane, and that also gets denied. And after that failed board appeal, you file a supplemental claim. So at that point in time, your window for new evidence goes all the way back to that first claim or supplemental claim, because that's the last time you put new information before a VA adjudicator. In a higher level review, the VA is not allowed to consider new evidence. And in a direct review at the Board of Veterans' Appeals, the board is not allowed to consider new evidence. I hope that last part wasn't too confusing. If so, let me know in the comments and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. Now, my main point is that you have a lot of options for ways to provide new and relevant evidence to the VA to open up a supplemental claim. Now, I should say that just because it might be easy to open a supplemental claim doesn't mean that you will win. Well, obviously, if you've dealt with the VA, you know that. But I guess what I should say is it doesn't mean that you should go forward with just any old evidence and just to get the claim started. You want to do your homework and get the best possible evidence that you can, because that ultimately is the best way for you to win your claim. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments if there's a topic you want me to cover. If you want me to help you with your claim, you can reach out to me through the links below. I'm Al Walsh, a veteran who likes to help other veterans. Thanks for watching.